Hey everyone, glad you're here today. Did you know Social Security just turned 90 years old? That's right, the program that millions of Americans rely on for retirement, disability, and survivor benefits has been around since 1935 when Franklin D. Roosevelt signed it into law. And here's something you might not know. President Donald Trump just signed a proclamation calling Social Security a sacred promise and declaring that under his leadership, it's being renewed and reformed. He even said you don't have to pay taxes anymore on Social Security. That caught a lot of people's attention. But what does it really mean, and how does it affect you? Stick with me, because we're going to break this down in a clear, practical way so you can understand what's happening and what it might mean for your future. Before we get going, I'd love to hear from you. What does Social Security mean in your life? Is it your main source of income or more of a supplement? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read through them and they really help build our community here. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss updates like this one. Now, Social Security has always been about one big idea: making sure people who spent their lives working aren't left in poverty once they retire. That promise has stretched across generations. And today, nearly 70 million Americans receive benefits every month. It's huge, it's reliable, and for many, it's the difference between stability and uncertainty in retirement. But even though the program is deeply trusted, it's also facing some serious challenges. Trustees have been warning for years that unless changes are made, the trust fund could be depleted by the mid-2030s, and that would mean automatic benefit cuts of around 20%. That's not a small thing. That's a big deal. So what did Trump do here? On August 14th, 2025, which also happened to be the 90th anniversary, he signed a proclamation. Now, a proclamation isn't a law. It doesn't change how money is collected or paid out. It's more symbolic, more of a message. But he used the moment to highlight changes his administration says are already happening. He called Social Security a program that was in collapse when he returned to office. He pointed to long wait times at field offices, seniors sitting on hold for ages, and a massive backlog of disability claims. And honestly, if you've ever tried calling Social Security, you probably know exactly what he's talking about. Those wait times can be frustrating. His answer was to bring in Frank Bisignano, a former private sector executive, to lead the Social Security Administration. Trump praised him as someone who could fix broken systems and outdated technology. And Bisignano himself said, "We found offices understaffed, seniors waiting months for answers, and decades-old technology slowing everything down. So we fixed it." And according to the White House, service has improved, wait times are shorter, phone calls are being answered more quickly, and the backlog of claims has started to shrink. If those improvements hold up, it's a big change. And for seniors waiting for disability checks or answers, that kind of shift matters a lot. Another thing Trump emphasized was fraud. He said his administration had removed hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants from the benefit system and cleared out records showing people supposedly over 160 years old. His words were, "No illegals, no fraudsters, no fake accounts." The message here was that Social Security dollars are for seniors who earn them and not for fraudulent cases. Now, critics say a lot of those so-called supercentenarian accounts were clerical errors, not actual fraud. Independent reports have shown fraud does exist, but usually not on the scale those numbers suggest. Still, the fraud angle resonates because people want to know their money is safe and not being stolen. And you see, that ties into trust, which is just as important as the checks themselves. If people don't trust the system, they're less likely to feel secure about their retirement. But the headline that grabbed the most attention was Trump's claim that seniors don't have to pay taxes anymore on Social Security. Now let's slow down here, because in reality, eliminating taxes on Social Security benefits was part of a much larger proposal called the One Big Beautiful Bill, and that bill has already been signed into law. So when Trump says it's done, this time he's mostly right. For seniors, that means more money in your pocket each month. Imagine getting your Social Security check and not having to set aside part of it for taxes. That's immediate relief. For someone living on a fixed income, even a couple $100s makes a real difference. Now, The challenge is that eliminating those taxes could also accelerate Social Security's financial problems. That money helps support the trust fund, and without it, unless it's replaced with other revenue or spending cuts, the system runs out of money even faster. One report estimated that recent policy changes might move the insolvency date up to 2032, just 7 years from now. So then, the real question is, how do you balance short-term relief with long-term sustainability? It's like fixing the roof on your house. You can patch a leak for now, but if you don't address the bigger structural issues, you'll face bigger problems later on. Trump's approach is to tie Social Security to his larger economic vision. He says tariff revenues are strengthening government finances, the stock market is up, and retirement accounts are growing. In his telling, a stronger economy overall supports a stronger Social Security program. Critics push back, pointing out that tariff revenues aren't earmarked for Social Security, and tariffs can raise consumer prices. So even if the government collects more money, you might be paying more at the grocery store or for household goods. That's the tension. It's not as simple as money in, money out. There are ripple effects. Now let's talk about the symbolism of the proclamation itself. Trump used it to position himself as a steward of Social Security, connecting his leadership to Roosevelt's legacy. 90 years ago, Roosevelt signed the Social Security Act to fight poverty among seniors. Trump is now saying, I'm protecting that promise, I'm modernizing it, I'm making sure it lasts. Whether you agree or not, the ceremony was about more than just a piece of paper. It was a campaign message too, meant to reassure seniors that he's on their side. But of course, there's another side to this. Many Democrats and independent analysts argue that fixing wait times and cleaning up records are good steps, but they don't address the bigger financial cliff. They point out that unless Congress acts by raising taxes, cutting benefits, or some combination, the trust fund will run dry. And eliminating taxes on benefits could make the problem worse, not better. Some even argue that the fraud numbers are exaggerated to score political points, which could undermine confidence instead of restoring it. What's interesting here is the contradiction. On one hand, Trump loudly proclaims that he'll protect and preserve Social Security. On the other, some of his top advisors have made comments calling it a Ponzi scheme or suggesting it should be sunset. Even Republican lawmakers are divided, with some pushing ideas like raising the retirement age or changing how cost of living adjustments are calculated. Those changes would directly affect benefits, so there's real concern among seniors about what might actually happen down the line. And yet, despite all this, the public remains deeply committed to Social Security. Polls show most Americans want to keep it strong, even if they worry about its future. And everyday people have ideas. Some say just raise the income cap on high earners, others say cut benefits for the wealthiest retirees, while others push for more privatization. The debate is not about whether to keep Social Security, it's about how to keep it solvent and fair. So then, what does this leave us? Trump's proclamation is a reminder of both the strength and the fragility of Social Security. It's strong because it has lasted 90 years, survived wars, recessions, and political shifts. But it's fragile because the math doesn't lie. Without changes, the money won't stretch far enough. And the reforms announced so far, while real in terms of service improvements, don't fully address the bigger picture. It's like celebrating a birthday for a 90-year-old relative. You're grateful for their longevity, but you're also aware that their health needs careful attention. And here's the open question. Are these reforms the start of true renewal, or are they more of a reprieve, buying time without solving the fundamental issues? That's what we'll have to watch closely, because at the end of the day, Social Security is not just about numbers, it's about people. It's about the retiree who depends on that monthly check to buy groceries. It's about the widow who relies on survivor benefits to stay afloat. And it's about the younger worker today who wonders if the system will still be there when they need it. So yeah, there's a lot to think about. Some of what Trump announced will make life easier right now. Shorter wait times, faster responses, maybe even more money in people's pockets with a tax relief. But the longer-term questions are still hanging out there, waiting for answers. And guess what? That means the conversation isn't over. Not by a long shot. So then, let me know in the comments. Do you think eliminating taxes on Social Security is worth the risk of pushing the system toward insolvency faster? I'm really curious where you all land on this. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe because there's a lot more to come on Social Security, Medicare, and retirement planning. These are the things that affect everyday life, and the more we understand them, the better prepared we'll be. Thanks for spending this time with me today. Social Security is 90 years old, and it's still one of the biggest promises our country has ever made. The big question is whether that promise will still hold strong for the next generation. That's something we'll keep exploring together, one step at a time.